Today, I'm going to take the mystery out of the perfect prime rib. There's a new technology which pairs your phone to a meter thermometer, which I have right here, and takes all of the guesswork out of it. It's one of the greatest things that I've ever seen when it comes to cooking meat. Now, I have to tell you, I've always been intimidated by making a prime rib for two reasons. One, it's an expensive piece of meat, and two, you always cook it at holidays or when company's coming over and you just don't want to mess it up. Well, I went to the internet and I checked out several ways to cook prime rib. There are hundreds of ways, and it's very confusing. Here's one that says about 11 to 12 minutes per pound. About? Come on, guys, we're talking about a serious piece of meat here. Here's one that says about 15 minutes per pound. It's all over the board. Some techniques tell you to use a traditional meat thermometer, and that's not a bad idea, except for one thing. When you open the door, the temperature of that oven is going to drop up to 250 degrees, and now that just messes the whole formula of minutes per pound up, doesn't it? The most important statistic you need to know is what the internal temperature of that meat is without opening the door, and that's where the meter comes in and simplifies our life. All right, let's get started here. The first thing, you've got to find a prime rib. It's not always easy to do. Well, I found a butcher shop here in Fort Collins, and they had exactly what I needed. So the first thing you want to do with your butcher is you want to ask him to cut the meat off the bone. So first, he's going to cut the prime rib from the bone, and then he's going to tie it back on. That's going to help us considerably when we get going with the cooking process. Now, let's cook this beautiful prime rib here. First thing we're going to do, of course, the butcher tied it up, and we're going to cut the strings off. Well, why did we have him tie it up if we're going to cut the strings off? I'm going to show you. Okay, we're just going to remove it from the bone here. Set this bone aside. Now, we're going to take a paper towel here and just kind of pat this down a little bit. Next thing, we're going to coat it. Kosher salt, ground black pepper. That's it, nothing more. No fancy steak rubs or anything like that are needed for this. And we're going to be very liberal. And ground black pepper. Pat it in good. Okay, all sides. Okay, there we go. Now we've got it all seasoned. Let's move over to the next step. Here, I've got a big heavy cast iron black skillet here. We're going to put a little oil in that. Now, we're going to sear this beautiful prime rib about 1 minute per side. By searing it, this is going to form a very nice crust on this prime rib here, and that's why we don't have to go to 500 degrees real hot and then drop it down to 350. We're going to sear all sides of this for about a minute each on this cast iron skillet, and we're going to put it in the roasting pan and take the next step with the meter. All right, now watch carefully. I have a roasting pan here. Normally you'd put a rack in here and put the prime rib on that. But here's our rack. This is why we had the butcher cut this thing off first. So we're going to put this in here and we're going to set our prime rib right on top of this. It's going to be so much more flavorable on that natural rib rack than it will be on a wire rack. So that's why we had the butcher tie it on in one piece, then we untie it, put it back, and now we're ready for the coup de grace. Remember the meter? Comes in this nice little box here. This is the salvation. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put our meter into the meat, stick it in like that, and now I'm going to activate on my phone here the meter app. So here it says meter right here. Gonna tap meter. Gonna say set up cook. Okay, we're gonna do beef. We could do chicken or fish or whatever, right? All kinds of things. We're going to do ribeye, which is basically prime rib. Okay, now we're going to set the internal temp, in this case for 120 degrees. And we're going to start cook, and there we go. So let's get this into the oven here. So we're not done yet. If you'll notice here, I've got a share button. I'm going to share this to myself via email. Okay? Why am I going to do that? Because I want to move around. I want to work at my computer. I want to go outside and hit a few golf balls. Maybe I just want to lay down on the couch and read the paper. And actually, you can share this any place in the world. But mostly I'm sharing it with myself. Well, our prime rib's been cooking now for about an hour and 20 minutes. We're getting close. Okay, we just got a notice here that 4 minutes, we're ready to take it out of the oven. So 4 plus 20 is what? 24 minutes? And everybody can sit down to the table for a wonderful holiday meal, a wonderful Easter meal. I have total peace of mind now. I'm not panicked. I'm not worried what's going to happen. I trust the meter. Isn't this great, Quinn? Huh? I mean, this is great. I'm not sitting here panicked, oh my gosh, hope it's okay. I know what's going on. I know the middle of that meat, it's 119 degrees. It's going to go to 120. We're going to take it out. We're going to wrap it in tin foil, and we're going to let it rest for 20 minutes, and we're going to have perfect prime rib aided by the meter. We are now ready, guys. Isn't this great? Here we are, 120, okay, target 120, 360 degrees ambient. Now, let's take it out of the oven here. Man, is this looking good, okay? And now, we got tin foil over it. We're gonna let this rest for 20 minutes. And what that's going to do is let the juices cool down, so when we cut it, the juices don't squirt out and we lose all that great flavor. The temperature should be rising up to the high 20s, maybe 130 or so, and we're going to be ready to eat. Okay, now we've had this out for about 5 minutes, and see how that temperature is still rising? So that's very important to prime rib, because you want to get that nice medium rare, maybe a little done on the ends. But if you take it out at 130, then it's going to heat up to 140, and you're going to lose all that. So the perfect prime rib, take it out at 120, let it warm up, and when it gets to about 130, we're ready to go. 128 and rising, sir. We've let this rest for about 20 minutes now, and you can see the temps up to almost 130 internal, which should be just perfect. Let's take this out here and get this on the cutting block. I should also point out we've got great juices in here. These juices be just perfect for a nice au jus. Do not get rid of this juice. So let's just take a big hunk out of this and see what we got. Look at this. Nice pink in the middle. Now guys, that's some prime rib you can be proud of here. It's just perfect, isn't it? Everybody's gonna have a great feast at the holidays. Families are gonna come together. It just doesn't get any better. But let's not forget something here. Because back here are the bones. Okay? And you can now take these bones here, just cut right through that. Got a beautiful, beautiful, I can't tell you how good these ribs are. Nice, crusty. Okay, let's get a nice piece of prime rib on here. And let's come over here. And I've got some asparagus and some nice carrots. And here we got prime rib. Guys, it just doesn't get any better than this. Prime rib with a meter. You can't miss. You can't go wrong. I guarantee it. Well, that's prime rib. Serve this with a little coconut cream pie, a little whipped cream in a coffee can. Man, what a great holiday. Well, remember, a clean kitchen is a happy kitchen. And I gotta tell you, this is a very happy kitchen today. Adios and yum yum. Bon appetit, partner. For written tips and recipes, visit mamamablesboy.com.